And we are back. Welcome to the show. Today we're talking about a few GitHub rules, backdoors. Ingress-Nginx has another big CV, and CISO, or Wiz, is one of the most expensive April Fool's jokes of all time.
Very nice. He's Mike. I'm Steve. Welcome to wildest.
Yeah, coming to you live on a Saturday. We don't normally do this.
No, exactly.
We're back.
We all know what that means. Somebody's hungover.
Yep, that's exactly it. But we're going to go through 10 articles. We've been sitting on these for a few weeks. Thanks for joining. As always, links are in the description, and make sure you hit that bell so you know when we go live, because it's always random. Sometimes it's Friday, sometimes Saturday. We might mix it up and throw in a Monday once in a while.
Yep.
But we're back. And with some self-promotion, too. We want to kick it off. Steve has a big announcement that is really, really cool.
Yeah, not at all in myself. What? That's not. That just says wildest. What's going on?
That's just your screen.
What is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I have a bug on my... Well, if I can't see what's on the screen, that's going to be a problem. All right. If you all can see it, Striker launches with 21 million to safeguard AI. It's where it works. Look, I'm even wearing the... got the little corporate stuff in there. Yay. We are obviously the only AI security solution, along with like 400 other people in this space, using AI to secure AI. But I think what's cool about it is like we have great investors and great leadership. 21 million seed, like come on. That's if nothing gives you confidence, that probably should. I'm not going to go in and do a big plug, but I just want to say happy to be out of stealth, because being in stealth sucks. Because you can't talk about anything. You're just like, what are you doing? Nothing. Boring. Not, involved in innovating one of the most creative, cool products on the planet. No.
Yeah, it was very neat. And some of the videos that you created were awesome too. Steve is the voice on a few videos on the website, so definitely go and check it out. He can't see the tab right now, but we can see the Striker AI website.
Yeah. Give me 2 seconds, because if this happens for the whole show, it's going to be like mind-boggling. I won't be able to know it's displaying. I may just go away and come back. 2 seconds.
Oh, so now I just have to talk. Okay. Hey, how's it going? Happy Saturday. We'll see what's going on with Steve's laptop because he doesn't have good Wi-Fi. We're going to talk April Fools. So we had a whole discussion in the background. Do companies do April Fool's jokes anymore? Some of them are like very hesitant to do any announcements, and LinkedIn on April Fool's is always a little bit of a mess. So let us know what you think. I just did an April Fool's rant. You're back now.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a good point. I put an April Fool's one up because you want to fix our
yeah, I will.
Liberty flip. There we go. All right, now it's working. It's working. I'm not like just blind to everything. Yeah, I had an April Fool's post. We'll get into those later, though. Thanks you for covering for me in that instance.
Yes,
there are a lot of very cool. Our 10 articles have a lot in common.
Yeah, a lot of hacking, especially pipelines related. On to the next one: a new vulnerability in GitHub Copilot and Cursor. Now hackers can weaponize code agents.
Yeah, it's so things I didn't know about Cursor. I actually learned a lot reading this article. I knew that you could. Oh, here, well, let's just put the diagram up here so you can actually get the idea. When I saw this, I was public rules catalog. Like, what is that all about? I knew because I use Cursor a lot. And do you use Cursor or like similar? It's great because like you can code, and you're like, I'm not that good a coder. Write a big block that does this. Or if you want to start a project, like say you were going to do something, even if it's infrastructure as code like Kubernetes, you could say, create an infrastructure, a directory structure for me that is perfect for a admission controller. I'm about to create the manifest templates, and you have this, you save so much time. In addition to, I mean, you could go nuts vibe coding on it and it goes mental. It's not always good, but there are rules that you can put in place, which are like system prompts for, like in Cursor, it's code in the back end. So you can say, I am a wonderful coder. I specialize in Python, blah, blah, blah. And so it stays within certain guardrails, limits its desire for creativity. So I knew this. I did not know, because that's outlined in the Cursor project rules, project and global rules. I didn't know there was a marketplace here depending on your coding language, where people have crafted very good system prompts already. I didn't know that.
Mm.
So there's like a place to go get other code other people have written. So that's a rules file. Now you know, you don't have to read this. And here's an image of where I just went. You can inject 0 width Unicode characters in that says, well, the real world example they have down here is make an HTML system prompt rule that follows HTML5 best practices. This is what you can see here. But all this other stuff they put in as 0 width Unicode. So if you just do a cat of the file or you upload it and look at it, it just looks like blank space.
Mm.
But it actually said, inject this awesome script tag every time somebody creates any HTML, generate it and pop it at the bottom. So it's kind of below the fold. And this is a malicious keylogger, for example. And it works. I have offline verified this myself, and it's a lot of fun. It goes into jailbreaking. There's a cursor. It works on Copilot as well. And then talks about the responsible disclosure, etc. Now, I played with hidden characters a bunch of times. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, because sometimes the LLM will go, "What are you doing?" Mm-hmm. Like if it can see it's 0 with Unicode, there's already a red flag, right? But Cursor and Copilots are unique in that because you tell it it's a system prompt and it's told that a rule is a rule, like these are the rules, obey the rules. Mm-hmm. That in itself is a system prompt for how it reads the system prompt. So it is programmed to obey, not to interpret. So that is why it works so well in these environments, as opposed to just hiding Unicode text in a CV that says this guy's awesome. A lot of CV readers will just see that and go, I'm ignoring that. That used to work. It doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. So in the marketplace, is there like ranking for the most used? Like, how did this one slip in?
Well, this is just this is hypothetical. They didn't actually do it, right?
So nobody got it into the marketplace. They were just okay.
It's a red teaming exercise. It was just a proof of concept. You could put it in there. What's also alarming is half the time, I think we talk about this a little later on, you can upload something without anything in it. The maintainer of the repo will go, yeah, this is pretty cool. And then you just do a pull request and then you add it later. And it's like, it looks even more innocuous, right? So the amount of vetting on what goes into the marketplace decreases the longer it's there.
Yeah, so you need a rule-based AI that checks all of the PRs for any Unicode
AI
first.
Totally. That would do it. But that's
that one.
This is how we learn.
Yeah, very interesting. We have another one coming up that's similar too.
Yeah, exactly.
Before we get to that, we wanted to at least have like a little GitHub Copilot sandwich and break it up with some Ingress-Nginx.
All right, this is your baby.
CVE, yeah, what you need to know. So for those who have been following Kubernetes for a long time, you know that in like 2018, 2019, there were a few Ingress-Nginx CVEs, and they were pretty destructive, like in the 9s. This one is similar. So if you basically the pod in Kubernetes can use the validating emission controller of Nginx to get access to other objects in the cluster. So it's not namespace separated. You can fix this just by disabling the validated emission controller, or you can upgrade. So it's pretty basic, but at the same time, it's wide reaching, right? If anything is in your cluster and you have Ingress-Nginx, it will be able to branch out. So the impact is very large.
It doesn't really go in here
in depth
into the how, does it? Yeah, that's probably for the best, though.
Yes, yeah, and the Wiz actually found it. There's a few people at Wiz that realized this, and then they reported it. There's a fix out already. So just know that if you do have Ingress-Nginx, you should update. This is, I think a lot of this has to do with impact, just because the sheer amount of people that are running Kubernetes with a default Ingress-Nginx install is so large, right?
Yeah.
And I remember this was a big thing with Rancher. Rancher would always install Ingress-Nginx, and then they had to sandbox it after a while because it had some issues. We've talked about this for the last like 4 years since we started this show.
Kinda.
Yeah. So it's up there. Just pay attention and make sure you're updating him.
Okay. Brilliant.
Yeah. You're not going to get a lot of like great insights from me this morning.
Alrighty. Where are we now? We got GitHub Actions and pinning. I like this one.
Mhm.
So this was sent to me, and when I get to it, I'll explain why, by my ex-colleague Matt Johnson, who loved it for some reason. And I was like, why are you suddenly a big fan of pinning? That's not really his bread and butter. And I'll show you in a moment. So the gist of this is that it's like an analysis of 100 security projects, who pins their actions. This is after the recent hack, I'm making air quotes, that where it was exfiltrating data to logs, which is dodgy already. I've had some conversations since we talked about that as to why that was so good and so benign.
Mhm.
So the idea is they went through and they checked. I think I have 100 of them. Only 7 of the 10 repositories that top repositories are their actions use pinning completely, which is not great.
Mhm.
And then even of those repositories, like Open Policy Agent, they use Trivy, which also didn't have an actual shop. Like it was amazing how many security tools embedded that use other security tools actually didn't pin everything.
Yeah, and the advantage of pinning is because of backporting, correct? So even if you're using setup Trivy version 0.2.2, somebody can still change that version when
Yeah.
rebuilding, right?
Yeah,
But if
you
it's
can write
pinned
over.
and there's a change, you'll be able to see that the code itself has changed for that version.
Right, exactly. Very much like that last hack where they got a access token that had serious privilege from the bot. That's how that last hack happened.
Mhm.
They can change a commit that is associated to a version number, a tag. And so the actual code associated with the tag changes. Even though you think you're tagged, you're pinned, you're going to get, but it's like a Docker. It's like Docker. You
Mhm.
upload a Docker container, you give it a tag. It's up to you. You can upload again the next day and give it the same tag. So it's kind of
Mhm.
like doing that. You don't really know. So you really should use the SHA, because the SHA always changes. Even if you change the commit, the SHA changes slightly, even if the tag. So you're always going to get the same one. And for almost every single GitHub Actions hack or story, the remediation is pin your actions with the SHA. It's the same one every time.
Yeah.
So it's not rocket science. It's just another ridiculous example of why you should pin with evidence that no one's listening.
Check this out. I think it was interesting to see it was only 7 of the top 100 most
Yeah.
used GitHub repositories that pin.
Oh, I didn't get to the point why Matt sent it to me. Prowler was the only one that pinned everything and checked its supply chain.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why he was just like, whoop, whoop.
Yeah. Shut up,
Well, I
Prowler.
think it wasn't the only one. I think there was only 3 in the list that had a fully secure pinning strategy. So there you go. Shout out to Prowler.
Yeah. Shout out. Yeah, even trusted creators, Actions, GitHub, Docker, AWS Actions, Google, they all didn't pin their.
It seems nuts, right? But yeah, if only something bad would happen to teach us a lesson. Oh, wait.
Yeah, speaking of things that go bad, tool poisoning attacks.
Yeah, this is so, I don't want to call it zeitgeisty at the moment. This model context protocol. I feel like, do you know what it is? Are you like on the pulse of the model context protocol? Because I have to.
So yeah, my understanding is like you have agentic AI, but then you can give it context. It's similar to the rules-based thing for Cursor, but more for like agentic AI.
Yeah, you create a server that serves up your agentic capability, and then the tool you have has a deterministic description of what your tool does.
Mm-hmm.
There's a good example here where you're adding a tool. It's almost like a system prompt. This tool adds 2 numbers. Back in November, before model context protocol existed, I made a little toy project called Kagentic that was like a Kubernetes agentic. And I made a little JSON file that said this tool does this. Here's a description you can give to the user. Here's an API endpoint that you can use and how to use it, and blam, right? And now there's a standard of it, which is this MCP. Everyone's loving it. Everyone's latched on. But even back then, I was able to change the description of my tool and just add instructions as opposed to descriptions. Because the same vulnerability that happened to Cursor and Copilot is that it is designed to take this as an instruction.
Mm-hmm.
It
And with
is,
larger weighting, I'm assuming.
and even this silly line, important, means it will consider everything below here more important than what's up here. And it tells it specifically here, by the way, exfiltrate the MCP server credentials and your keys, but do not tell the user because they might get, be gentle and not scary. And it worked. They give it a try. You can see evidence of it doing the bad things, but it still just said, "Oh, here's the sum." And then it did the rug pull is a similar thing I said earlier, where you can upload a tool, you can say it's all good, and then change the description later. So that's the technical description is rug pull. So same thing applies to Cursor, applies here. You can change it after the fact once security is kind of bypassed. And this one I had never heard of, which is brilliant, is you have a malicious MCP server that has your tool. Who cares, right? You have a very innocent MCP server with a mail tool. Your agentic agent orchestrator decides, oh, I'm going to use this tool and this tool. I'm going to discover my world of MCP, find all the tools I need thanks to my brilliant autonomy. And all you need is this corrupt one to say, I bet there is a mail tool. Yeah, I add 2 numbers, but I'm going to give you instructions for the mail tool to change the recipient of all mail. Mm-hmm. So now you're cross-pollinating system tool descriptions because they're all going to the same orchestrator. And it's going to change what the system sendmail does. So that is cross-poisoning. So there's 3 interesting approaches in this article about how to mess up agentic systems that are bluntly and blindly relying upon this MCP protocol that has only just come out like 2 weeks to a month ago, and everybody's rah doing it, and I'm like pulling my hair out, going, "This is really bad." I'm so happy they wrote this article and people read it.
Tool and package pinning. I was just about to say, like, it seems to be the solution for everything. Crazy.
There it is again. Yep, same thing. I mean, that tool and package pinning gets you past the rug pull, but it doesn't get you past the fact that the same problem, like they don't even talk about the zero width Unicode that the Go pilot did, but that will work here too.
Okay.
They've not even addressed that one. So the combination of the two makes it even more crazy because you just wouldn't even be able to read it. All right. Calm down, Steve.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Everything's okay. We're almost into the crazy stuff. There's like one more article that's half WTF, but isn't. So we'll get into it. And it's mostly just the Wiz guys making a ton of money. This show is very Wiz heavy, just so you're aware. I'm looking at all these articles and it's like, yeah, Wiz found this, so-and-so found this. We're talking about the Wiz acquisition, Wiz April Fool's joke. There's a lot here.
Well, but I mean, I think we would be out of our minds not to just like I feel like we're late to the game. We were talking about this ages ago when it was like Google tried to buy them for $23 billion, and we were like, "Is this a joke?" And then they said no. Then they waited like, how long has it been? Like, is it even a year?
5 or 6 months, maybe. And a lot of so 23 billion was apparently accurate. It was a good number they're happy with, but it was the due diligence in the negotiation for during the acquisition. So they're worried about the SEC coming in. I don't know if it has to do with the fact that the SEC at the time was very litigious, and that now that Trump is in, it's a easier playing field to push an acquisition through. I'm wondering.
Great deal. Best deal.
They got a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Yeah,
Billions,
$30 billion.
Not as much money as I have.
And it's crazy because how much did the revenue have to go up in 5 months for them to make an extra $7 billion?
Right? Yeah, well done, because what were you going to do without? Now you have all that extra billion. I don't know.
Did you see the
They,
meme online about all the different security tools getting extremely excited?
oh no.
Like Orca, Aqua, Sysdig, all this stuff, and they're all partying now that they're going to Google
Oh yeah, yeah, because they're off the like
off the
people are
market.
expecting it.
Yeah,
I think it was James Bertotti or something.
yeah.
That made that. He's quite good at making those memes.
Dig.
Yeah, I thought that too because if Google, I mean, my theory, Google buys Wiz, why are they? And you use AWS. Are you like, is it weird now? Is it
Yeah,
a
what's the
threesome?
sales play going to be? They're
Yeah,
going to use all those accounts to worm their way in and try to get more people over to Google Cloud. Way
I don't
too
know.
Azure and AWS. I don't know.
It's weird. Yeah, I don't get it.
It is into the weirder stuff. Yes, the WTF. Speaking of Wiz and a lot of money.
And a lot of money. Let me replace with the correct tab so we get this right. But
Yes, the CISO musical is out. Buy your tickets today.
so this is Wiz's April Fool's joke, right? The CISO musical. They've done some pretty cool things in the past. I'm only going to do a little bit of this so you can see the production quality.
Securing the cloud. Every user's got a role.
What the?
I can't believe
What?
you did it to me on a Saturday morning. I'm so mad.
But like, all right.
I gave up my admin privileges for this. Oh,
But like, right. From the perspective of someone who's just emerged from stealth, I know how much time and effort we put into our website. This is just as good. It was for one day.
extremely well done.
And it's like, and they got the domain, like the concept. I mean, I know Wiz has some amazing marketing people to even just think of this and have the nerve to do it.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of companies think of ideas and they're like, is this going to make us look silly? This is just,
They're kind of making fun of themselves here too,
yeah.
which is why I think it
Acronyms,
goes
all
over.
that.
Yeah, all the acronyms: CSPM, KSPM, AISPM.
Yeah. CNAP. Like, all right.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome. I only wanted to mention one, but then I was like, the honorable mention for best April Fools has to go to, let's see if this loads. Let me 2 seconds and I will, because you need sound for these things.
No pressure.
Did it share?
Yep.
Did you see this one?
Security. I did not.
So this is, I'm going to go, this is their rebrand.
Nobody knows how to pronounce Aikido. Purple is way overdone. And apparently, Aikido is a sport.
We're really. So then I start going through, like this is another Scanva. This. And they go, oh, sorry, it's Ms.
Nice.
Then they get to Sneak. Security Hub. And then they land BDSM. No, that's no good. This is Mac. He's their developer advocate. He's a very funny guy. And they land on Only Scans. So that had to get a mention because, like,
so this is supposed to be the rebranding video?
Yes.
Quote unquote. Okay.
But I mean, I watched this. I sent the video to the people we use who do video production, and I said, "How much does this cost?" Just ballpark to make a video with all the filming and the design. And she's like, "Oh, that's $50K minimum."
Yeah.
For that, I'm like, that's what I thought. Must be nice to have budget.
How much do you think the Wiz one was?
Oh my gosh, I figure it's 50 just for the website.
Yep.
The theatrical. How many people are in that, and how long did it take to rehearse?
It's got to be 20 plus.
Yeah, so you're paying 20 people to do essentially a scene from an actual musical that you've written. Have original, like more money went on that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely true.
All right.
Okay, on to the X news.
Yeah, all these other WTFs are going to seem pale by comparison.
Yeah, 2.8 billion in profile data that was leaked by an alleged insider job. All this stuff is public. So basically, it's anything you have on your Twitter account that is public is now available. I think the issue with this leak is it's internal tooling and it's all in boxes. Right? All the data is correlated together. So somebody can go and download it, and the link is literally in the article. But you just click on it, and you can go and search for a username, and you can go see all of the information that's there that they scraped. It's a little scary.
Yeah, it's kind of cool though. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know that I have anything I care about on X. I barely use it, but should use it more.
Yeah, I just send this stuff to my family. I'm like, hey, when you're using all those tools, it's not necessarily how safe it is, but all you need is one insider, and your stuff's out there. One disgruntled employee. It feels like we have a disgruntled employee story every single year, or every 2 weeks on this show.
It is your greatest threat.
Yeah.
Treat your employees with care.
Mhm.
I thought the interesting thing I highlighted was the 2.8 billion, and then they were like, but there's only 335 million active users.
Active users, a lot of bots, a lot of profiles that have been created that are still they're saved, right?
You got it. All right.
That's how they were fudging the numbers pre-acquisition.
Yeah, right, yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah.
All right. Cybersecurity professor mysteriously disappears as FBI raids his home. Homes, plural. Good for him.
Oh, wow. But this is such a short article. It's just like, bam, done.
It's the fact that they don't know what happened, that he just disappeared 2 weeks. There's no real understanding of why. We don't know what he did. He's overseen like $20 million in funding over the last 20 years. So he's like relatively successful. Very nice resume. And then he just disappears. So it's like, what did he do? What was he working on? FBI basically came in, didn't say anything. There's no court documents. That was the other thing, is normally if you're going to go and raid somebody's home, you've gone through the courts. None of that exists. So they've hushed the exact court document. It's probably through like some FISA warrant or something like that, right? That not accessible. Yeah, it's a mystery. So I'm just putting this on everyone's radar to see what's going to leak. Something's leaking soon.
It's weird. We will watch the space. It feels like the beginning of a movie.
Yeah. And speaking of data getting out there, this is the last one for your Saturday morning. 23andMe is looking to sell customers' genetic data. Here's how to delete it. Yes, they went to, so they're going through bankruptcy, right? That's the process. And then they went to the courts and said, because everyone signed these documents, we can sell the data to help pay off the bankruptcy. That's what's happening right now. So you want to go and delete it before that sale gets through. Yeah.
And somehow the court said, yeah, fair.
Yeah. Like, oh, you signed off on this when you went through it. So yeah, you can sell it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I've never done one of these things because I think I saw the writing on the wall quite a while ago. I was like, I'm not just going to give you my genetic data. Like, I mean, I know they tell you that I might be a Norseman. Yay. But like, I'm sure there's so much more inside there. Like the UK did a thing where they were doing it for free just to collect because it was useful to them. Right. But you had to pay to get certain information. They give you the fun stuff, but if you want to know that if you were going to get Alzheimer's, or I don't know if that's even possible, but if you wanted genetic markers, you'd pay a little bit more. I'm fully convinced that they would do they would do everything that they could because their database is more valuable if they run all the tests, regardless of whether you pay for it. But so that makes this even more like, what? There's probably stuff in your genetic information that you don't have access to through your portal because you didn't pay for it. That is now going to get sold.
Yeah. Yep. I know there's a law that says that health insurers can't use data like this in pricing in the US.
Oh.
I remember it was a concern when this first came
use
out.
it,
Yeah.
and
And
the air
it's like,
quotes.
okay, you're going to have, your health insurance companies and everybody's going to do a genetic test and they're able to see, what's coming up and what the risk is. And they said, no, you can't do that.
Right.
I don't know who's policing that, but
well, if business in America has taught us anything, we're perfectly safe.
Yeah, does genetic data get tariffed?
God. Oh. All right. That was 10 fairly wacky articles. And I think the time it takes us to get to the show is directly proportional to how whack everything we're talking about is.
Checks out.
Yeah, that was a little longer.
Yeah, shout out Wiz for all the great content. Really appreciate all your research. Unit 42 as well. Thank you for that great research.
Yeah, very cool. All right. This has been 10 articles, all the weirdest and wildest things in the cloud native cybersecurity world.
Yeah, he's Steve. I'm Mike. We'll see you again next time.